Good evening. Welcome. All-party meeting to discuss China is about to get underway. There has already been much dissension of who's invited, who's not invited. All of that really is distracting us from what the real issue is. We are expecting now from this all-party meeting the government of India to do its duty, which is to ensure that the principal political parties of the country are aware of what is going on, and for the principal political parties of this country to do their duty and not get involved in petty squabbling and present a united front globally, internationally, and for the Chinese. Let the Chinese not be heartened by the fact that in our democracy we are incapable of agreeing on anything. Let us send them a completely opposite message. Now, is it reasonable for an opposition party to be raising questions of the government and demanding answerability and transparency? Absolutely it is. But accountability and transparency is one thing. First person or persons to be questioned are not sitting in New Delhi. The first people we need to be questioning are all sitting in Beijing or in Chengdu, where the command of the Western Theatre Command headquarters lies. Our questions need first be directed there. Our internal questions we are fully capable in a thriving democracy of addressing. Let me quickly bring into the telecast Gautam Mukherjee joining us, Sumit is with us, Colonel Sharendra Singh, my colleague Brijesh Pandey also joining us in just a short while. Let me take the opportunity to quickly get in Brijesh Pandey into this conversation. Ambassador Fabian will also be joining us in just a bit. Let me take that opportunity to add him to the telecast as well. The developments that are happening, let us put down at the bottom of our screens of the people who are attending this meeting and who are not. Now, the segmented rules of association that have been put out for this all-party meeting are minimum 5 members of parliament in the Lok Sabha, national party status, or the principal party in the Northeast. These are the 3 criterion that have been put out for an invitation to this all-party meeting. There are several, including Asaduddin Owaisi, who have objected. The Aam Aadmi Party says it's not been invited. But those are the criterion that have been put out. Let me quickly get in Gautam Mukherjee. Gautam Mukherjee, at the end of the meeting, now it's good that this conversation is happening. So let them get a background briefing on what the situation is. Transparency on certain counts is a desirable in a free country. But at the end of the meeting, how do we ensure that our questions are being put to Beijing and Chengdu and not to New Delhi?
I think the first thing to arrive at is that we will not cede any more territory, because this is at the back of the whole exercise as far as the Chinese are concerned. They're making up their story as they go along, but the main thrust of the entire exercise is they have always managed to slice away, so why not now? And they're a little piqued that India is daring to try and stop them. But so, this is the key thing. Now, as far as what the opposition will do, let us remember that there is a wonderful tradition. It is some kind of alchemy that the opposition always comes together and backs the government position when there's a crisis. They fight like cats and dogs on an average day. But I expect at the end of this exercise that they will say, we are behind you. You please go ahead, Mr. Modi, do what you think is
okay, so should we be building towards, Colonel Sharendra Singh, should we be building towards forget the all-party meeting. There needs to be an all-party resolution raising 10, 15 important questions to China and on Beijing. An all-party meeting with everybody giving bites after this that Hanji ye bola, Hanji wo bola is meaningless. These parties, members of parliament, play an equal role. There's nothing stopping 100 members of parliament in writing to the UN and raising the issue of Chinese aggression or of what's happening in Tibet or of what's happening in East Turkestan. We don't seem to take on this responsibility. Why not? And what do we do?
Oh, before we come to the irresponsible politicians coming into the responsible role, I will only make a small amendment to the sentiments behind the words of Gautamji. Gautamji said, we will not cede anymore. No, sir. I'm sure the sentiment is, we'll get back every inch of that land which they have come in. Even that LAC, which they claim, I'm saying, even which that LAC which they claim, they will have to go back to pre-5th May positions before we take any kind of political, diplomatic solutions towards ending this problem. Now coming to the responsibility and irresponsibility. I've been actually always wondering, any party, or let's say take an example because that's the party which is more famously coming in the news, that you are tweeting and saying that why Prime Minister is silent, why nothing is being told to us. What is the effort you are doing to know things? I want to know from those people. And one. Number two, have you got a solution? Have you got a recommendation? Are you going to be responsible enough to create a kind of framework that in which such problems can be solved? Do you have exposure towards this? It's very easy.
No. Okay, Colonel Surendra Singh, I don't want to be encouraging third-party politicians from meeting Chinese ambassadors. We've seen that happen in the past. We don't want that happening now.
This is what I'm saying. That is the solution they are looking at.
So I'm making a recommendation, Colonel Surendra Singh. All members of Parliament have a right to use their letterheads, take a printout, send an email to the United Nations, to the UNHRC, and ask the same questions that the British Labour MPs ask of us when they start writing letters to the EU Human Rights Commission or the UN Human Rights Commission. The same thing our members of Parliament certainly have empowered to do. There's no reason a letter with 500 signatures cannot go right now.
उसके लिए पढ़ना लिखना पड़ेगा, उसके लिए बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, उसमें आपको वो ग्लोरी नहीं दिखाई देगी, मीडिया वैल्यू नहीं दिखाएगा. I am suggesting all these parliamentarians who are protesting, why are not they standing outside the Chinese embassy and seeking an appointment with the ambassador to launch their protest? You get everything what you are asking for. That is what is the media value you are looking at. You want that glory that we were there.
No, but what media? If 500 MPs write the letter, why won't they get the media coverage? Absolutely they will. They will be heroes of the Republic. Let's get an update from the ground, sir. Let's get an update from the ground. Rajat, my colleague joining us. Rajat, what's the situation right now with the meeting?
I think the meeting would be just started. As I can see the convoy of the Defence Minister and the Home Minister who have arrived at Sat Lokanyan Mark, the official residence of the Prime Minister, and very soon this meeting would be starting. In this meeting, 15 plus parties of this country would be taking part.
Okay, so meeting is about to start. 15 of those parties attending. Rajat, there has already been an Asaduddin Owaisi complaining, why wasn't I invited? I'm told there was some criterion. Does it make a difference who gets invited? Should more people have been invited? What's this all about?
See, many of the parties are not invited, but though we can share that yes, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, Sanjay Singh was protesting that yes, Aam Aadmi Party is not invited. But though Arvind Kejriwal came out with a tweet that though we are not invited, but we stand with the government, any decision taken by the government or any tough decision taken by the Prime Minister against China, we will support this government. So this should be the attitude of the political parties who are invited or who are not invited. That doesn't make a difference that every political party needs to be there with the Prime Minister. In heart, you can come out, cross your lines, don't indulge in this fight that yes, who is invited and who is not invited. Cross that political barrier, say that yes, I am not invited or invited. I stand with the country and the military of the country. Any action taken by the Prime Minister, we are all there to support you. This is the attitude that has to be adopted at this moment. But yes, we have seen Owaisi, we have seen RJD, we have seen Sanjay Singh, many more to come on the line and say that yes, we are not invited.
Okay, let me address one more question with Sumit Peer. One person who is invited is D. Raja of the CPI. Now, there's a statement that was issued by the Communist Party of India in D. Raja's name on the 17th. It says the Communist Party of India expresses deep condolences to the family of the officer and Jawans who sacrificed their lives in protecting our borders on the night of 15 June. Their sacrifice will be remembered by our country forever, and the best way to respect their martyrdom will be to end this standoff through peaceful means. Since yesterday, many painful developments have taken place. It is not clear how many casualties are there on the both sides. When the negotiations between the two countries are on, yesterday's clash was unwarranted. The situation demands a mutually acceptable solution to the standoff between. The status quo must be maintained. CPI hopes the leadership of both countries will take an initiative to find a peaceful resolution. The CPI is of the view that the government must convene an all-party meeting, and here's the all-party meeting. Sumit, Peer, in any of this, are we seeing the Communist Party of India questioning China? I'm not seeing it here. It's signed by Roy Kutty, Office Secretary. I don't see Chinese aggression mentioned anywhere over here.
You are absolutely right, Rishabh. You nailed it. And brilliant, sir. First of all, this is goddamn Chinese aggression. They are on our territory. What the hell? We have to negotiate with them. The only thing we are negotiating, pack your bags and leave my home. You have infringed my territory. We have not infringed Chinese territory. Secondly, sir, it was an ambush. Our 20 did not die fighting Chinese. They were killed by धोखा हुआ उनके साथ, उनके पीठ पे वार किया गया है. And with what did the Honorable Prime Minister say? वो मारते मरे हैं. We have told them that you have killed our 20, you have killed more than 40 of yours. Rather than condemning Chinese aggression, rather than saying what the hell is China doing on my country, on my territory? What is this settle it mutually? What are we doing? Where are we begging Chinese for? You are on my land, my 20 people are dead. And the person who is responsible for that is PLA and CCP. There's not a word of remorse for that. There's not a word of condemnation from that.
No, there is condolences. There is condolences. I am not understanding this. Colonel Shailendra Singh, I think the time has come in this country for the communist parties to either take a stand or step away from the picture. Now, this is not a stand. This is a communist party almost playing a mediator between two sides. That mutually acceptable solution, status quo must be maintained, which has been respected by both countries at line of control. What are they talking about?
You see, this actually puts me to a lot of anger. But करें क्या? We have to live with this evil. As far as I am concerned, any communist party can have its affiliation with the Communist Party of China. I have no problems. In principle, do what you like. But when it comes to your national interest, when your national forces are getting challenged, and you give such shallow statements, it is better. In fact, the Communist Party here is already in that kind of shallowness that it is visible that where are they in parliament. But still, because it's a political party and we have a political setup, I would like to respect it, that you are a party. But this is no way. I can understand you have too strong an affiliation with communism, but that doesn't mean for your own forces. You have to speak like this. Shameful. Absolute shameful.
Well, they are
I think people need to take cognizance of it, and in next election and everywhere in the country.
No, I'm just curious because Gautam Mukherjee, as you well know, that there are many people in the left parties of India who absolutely avoid taking a position on 1962. They run away from it, literally at top speed. From the statement that has been issued, one by the CPI and the other by the CPM, which we are put on our screens also, the CPM statements, they are finding no fault with anyone. Maybe they don't know what happened, so fair enough. But they find no fault with the Chinese. They just want peace. They are all Gandhian Satyagrahis, all wanting peace.
Well, I believe that the government should basically diplomatically obtain a carte blanche from the opposition. Something like, if you remember in the Three Musketeers, Milady goes to Cardinal Richelieu and says, look, you're sending me to England to spy for you, and I'm meant to do all sorts of things. Buckingham. Now, if I get caught doing something that you asked me to do, how do I get out of it? So he wrote out saying, let this person realize that he or she is doing what has to be done. You know, it's one of those sort of carte blanches.
Gautam Mukherjee, sorry to interject your anecdote, which is why there must be an all-party resolution and
I
which
think
these
that's
people
unlikely.
have to decide
I think
whether
that's
it will
unlikely.
bear their signature or not. Now this is no, this fiddling has to stop. Either you are backing an all-party resolution or not. This has to be some clarity now from the political parties of the country.
Rishabh, much as I agree with you as a fact of principle, I think asking for that is a little too much from opposition parties.
Why?
It is best to because they won't come to anything like that.
So that's their problem. That's their problem. Why can't we make the demand that you guys come to an agreement on 10 questions you want to raise with China on this? 100 of you, including members of the CPI, CPM, write a letter to Beijing demanding accountability for Chinese aggression on Indian soil. If that is too much to ask, then there is a fundamental problem and the people of the country deserve to know that this was too much to ask.
You know, Rishabh, the government in power has all the executive authority. It controls the armed forces, it controls diplomacy, it controls the international politics, and all this is a kind of a sop that you people exist, and I've taken you into some kind of confidence.
No, fair enough. Gautam Mukherjee, fair enough. But if Jeremy Corbyn, who is not in power in the UK, can at the Labour conference pass a resolution on Jammu and Kashmir, if almost 100 Labour MPs who are not in power are in the opposition in the UK and have been for some time, can write to the EU Commission to raise Jammu and Kashmir, why can't people who are in opposition but hold constitutional posts in this country not do the same? It's a very simple question.
Yeah, well, look, you are assuming that they are nationalists, whereas I'm fairly convinced that there's a large swath of the opposition led principally, now put it plainly, by the Congress, who are on China's side. It's plain to see. Now you expect the principal opposition party is like that. What did a CPM who is
No,
like
I will draw the assumption that everyone's committed to this country till proven otherwise, and
Well,
that
they're
that the people of this country.
This is more perception, this is more misinformation, this is more spying on behalf of the enemy, passing information.
Today, China is a bipartisan issue in an election year in the US. There is no disagreement between Democrats and Republicans on China because it has to be a bipartisan issue. I have to believe that we can do this. Sumit Peer, we have to now be looking to all our leaders, and I will put my faith that when asked to, all of them will apply a semblance of logic that they are not impotent in the cause simply because they're not in government, that if they can raise their voices within India as their free right, they can raise their voices globally, which is also their free right. So there must be an all-party resolution at the end of the meeting, and then we have to give Mr. D. Raja, Sitaram Yechuri, and all the others a chance to say that will this all-party resolution, which is raising direct questions from Beijing, will it bear our signatures or not? And let us know where you stand, not where you mumble.
Yeah, Rishabh, absolutely right. You see, every day, any day or every day, your loyalties to the country cannot be questioned. There's not a day when your loyalties to the country should be questioned because you're living here, you're eating the food, you're eating the water, you're getting government perks, you're getting government benefits, you're getting every goddamn thing from this country. When it comes to such a resolution, I fully agree a resolution should be passed and every person present here must sign that resolution and ask China to get the hell out of Indian side. The LAC, whatever it was on 5th May, has to be restored back. That signature is mandatory, else you are not Indian. I want to say two things.
I know. Let us know. Let us know. These are the people. These are the people who are with you, and these are the people who thought we don't want to write a letter to China. It's a simple letter writing campaign.
I have just one quick point, Rishabh. You know, if whatever song and dance they are doing here, Rishabh, imagine if they are in China and they are doing against the Communist Party of China, they will not see the sunrise of next day. Point number two, what have communists done in India except hartal, hunger strike, band? Dharna and all that. What have they built? What have communists built in
No,
India?
that's all irrelevant. That is, I am asking today, here and now. I am asking today, here and now, when there is absolute silence from a Prakash Karat and a Brinda Karat, two statements have come out from the CPI and the CPIM. I've read out one and the other one we put on our screens. Both call for a peaceful resolution. Absolutely fine. We all want peace. But none of them ask a single question about Chinese occupation on Indian soil. Before the 5th of May, it was Chinese occupation. After the 5th of May, it continues to be Chinese occupation and it continues to be Chinese aggression. We are not occupying Chinese soil and then killing Chinese soldiers. That's not what the situation is. And if some people here think that that's what the situation is, it's a free country, they're free to think that, but they need to make it clear. They need to tell us that we think, the left parties of India think that this is a disputed territory, that the Chinese have an equal claim, and therefore we are appealing to both sides, not just asking questions of one. Now, it is perfectly reasonable for political parties in this country to ask questions of the government. That is their duty and their job. After having done their duty and their job and having asked these several questions over the past 48 hours, it's a simple query. What are the questions that are being asked of China? What are the notes and letters and resolutions that are being sent to all the international agencies asking the questions of China from constitutional stakeholders, members of parliament of this country who have a free right to use their letterheads? They should use the letterheads. It costs 1 rupee to print a letterhead. I'm pretty sure the country can afford that. Let me quickly go back to my colleague Rajat Rakesh Tandon. Rajat, okay, my PCR crew is having a great difficulty today in getting their live connection sorted out. PCR, who is sitting? Aapka naam kya hai? PCR? Deepak ji, my request to you, thoda reporter patch kar lein please, so that we know exactly who is happening at that point of time. My request to Deepak in our PCR team to help us out in this live telecast. I'll be very grateful. Let's quickly get in Colonel Shailendra Singh. Colonel Shailendra Singh, it is on the assumptions that we allow people to get away with obfuscation. There has to be a clear line now, and the line is this: come up with a resolution on 10 points. You have asked whatever questions you want from the center. Feel free. That's your job. But what is the question you asked of Beijing? You please tell us. What is the letter you've written to Beijing? You please tell us. What is the resolution you sent to the international bodies, whether it be the ICJ on Geneva Convention violations, whether it be to the UN Security Council, whether it be to the UN Human Rights Commission, whether it to be to the EU Human Rights Commission, whether it to be the National Human Rights Commission sitting in Delhi. What is it that you've done? You please come and tell us.
No, not only that. I want to know from them, other than asking question, which as Rishabh has very kindly granted you as your democratic right, other than this, what have you done? Can they give out one single action? One single? I'm asking. If you are asking questions, you have a right, then you have to follow what your duties are. Out of those duties, have you done anything other than asking question? And that too, I was one of the first one to protest, that if you want to know something, pick up the phone, ask the concerned person. You are from the same parliament. Now just you want to get into the, I don't know what points you score by saying that Prime Minister चुप है, हमारे को कुछ पता नहीं है. अरे तुमने पता करा क्या है? और पता करना is separate, which we are granting you as a right.
There is a reason.
Other than
Colonel Shailendra Singh, there is a reason I have all of you on the panel and not 3 politicians. Okay, because there is pointless activity in people just yelling and point scoring off each other that has no action plan, no actionable goal. There is no call for action at the end of it. So having these meaningless conversations, I think the time has come to a close. We have to have a meaningful conversation. We had an all-party meeting, okay, which is happening right now. It is perfectly reasonable for the people of India to ask the question that this all-party meeting has furthered India's call for action? How? Was it just a meeting where you got a background briefing? Defense Minister, key army personnel came and gave you a briefing. You had your chai samosa. You came outside, gave a soundbite and went home. Or was there a call of action that came out of this meeting? It's a very simple question, because if there is no call of action, then you are serving the very limited purpose of garnering information, which is fine. Transparency is very important. It is very important. Operational transparency, we are not fools in this country. We understand that everything that's happening operationally, we can't be told. Fair enough. But the full details post facto of what has happened should be shared with the country. Nothing should be hidden. Having done that, what is the call to action? Let me put the same question quickly to Rajat Rakesh Tandon. Rajat, what is the call to action that is expected from this meeting? Are we expecting a resolution? Are we expecting a point agenda to come out of this?
See, what I can say at this moment, that yes, we have to wait for the time, let this meeting get over. And what I suppose that yes, since the opposition was crying that yes, we are not taken on board, we are not taken into confidence what the government is doing, what the Prime Minister is doing, they should come clear, transparent on this China issue. So the basic motto of this meeting, what I have learned, is that the government of India, the Prime Minister himself will take the confidence building up measures with all political parties of India. This is not the time to do politics on this issue, to make comments on televisions or to write letters to the Prime Minister demanding that yes, India should take this, India should do that, what has happened there on the other. The only thing needed at this time is yes, you have to trust the military and the government of this country that yes, anything, any step, any further action that is going to be taken by the Prime Minister will be in favor of this country, will be for the national interest. So this would be the main motto of the Prime Minister, to convince the opposition leaders of this country that yes, you should stand by these decisions of the government and the military. You should not cross your lines to do politics on this issue.
Which is the job of the Prime Minister of the country. He is not the BJP's Prime Minister. He is everybody's Prime Minister. It is the duty of the government of the day to ensure that everybody is taken along. The effort to develop a consensus has to be led by the executive authority, no doubt on that. But all the others have to now face themselves and ask themselves a simple question. Once we have raised the reasonable questions we wanted to raise from the government of the day, what action are we taking? How are we furthering the cause rather than doing brickbats? Rajat wants to make a quick point, then I come back to my guest. Rajat, go ahead.
Yes, Rishabh, and the main litmus test for this opposition would be that when this meeting gets over, will the opposition leaders come out on social media or do virtual press conferences telling that yes, we raised this issue in front of the Prime Minister didn't reply? Will this all go on to the public domain in media, or will the opposition parties, after attending this meeting, sit back at home, rely on the Prime Minister, let PM take a call, we will stand by him? So this would be the litmus test for the opposition leaders, that after this meeting gets over, let the government take a call that they are going to brief the country or they are not going to brief the country. It's their prerogative. Let them go with their action plan, will not interrupt in between.
Okay, let me quickly get Gautam Mukherjee back in. Gautam Mukherjee, let us raise the bar high. I know we can be cynical, but at least let us set the bar and then give our politicians an opportunity to either jump over it, slide under it, or raise themselves. There has to be something concrete that comes out of these meetings. A part of the process is to answer the questions, because it is the duty of the executive to be transparent on this matter. But if it is an infructuous meeting that ends with a couple of sound bites, what was the point?
The point was, as I've said before, and as Rajat more or less said just now, to obtain a carte blanche. Yes, Mr. Prime Minister, we are satisfied with your explanations on what has happened so far and what your perspective on it is. Now we give you carte blanche to get on with it. The other point that I would like to raise is that all these agreements from Panchsheel onwards are, in my opinion, infructuous. They have not been used in a manner where the content is in any keeping with the letter. What the Chinese have done, and this is taking on from Shailender's point where he said, well, let's go back to the May 5th position. I think I'm a lot more ambitious than that. What I want to do is take back all the territory that these people have stolen over the years from 1958-59 onwards. And this is the task that this government has to perform. And it has to go and take POK and Gilgit-Baltistan and put this two-front operation out of business. This has to be done. I mean, people like Nepal will just run away, apologize, do shashtang, and say I was misled. You don't have to worry about people
Absolutely
like that.
right.
But we have to take China on and say that if you say no weapons and you come along with like a thug with sticks, stones, brickbats, clubs, then you are violating. You didn't do that up to Doklam. What happened this time? What kind of army are you anyway? And if you're going to do that, I'm going to shoot you. And that is what has to be done from now onwards. They have to be shot on sight.
I'm going to keep trying to raise the political bar. I have refused to engage. I do not let's try. Let's not give up. Let's try. Let's keep holding a high standard. Because once we lower our standards, the game's over. Okay. I have refused to get involved in cheap brick-batting debates on this channel for a principal purpose. That if it is furthering some call to action, it's a conversation worth having. If it is just a point-scoring match of three people yelling at each other, it's not a conversation worth having. These are choices that we can make. If we can make these choices, political parties can make these choices as well. Sumit Peer, the time has come to make a choice.
I'd like to just say one
Yeah,
thing.
Gautamji, finish your thought.
Yeah, it is that, look, I'm not tarring the whole opposition with the same brush. When I look at a Mr. Patnaik, I've never seen him behave in any manner except as a dignified, constructive member of the opposition. Of course, he was with the ruling party for many years before, but he knows that I have a national duty in addition to running my state. There are others like him. Not everybody is the CPM and the Congress. So maybe some parts of it will see to it that they'll take some worthwhile initiatives, but some are too far gone to do anything else.
Okay, Sumit, come in on this. I'm just trying to raise a larger question, as I often try to do, that there has to be a bar. As we speak right now, the defense minister is now briefing all the opposition leaders and political party leaders on what exactly has happened. The defense minister and the BJP president yesterday called up all these leaders personally to invite them for this all-party meeting. I repeat, it is the job of the government of the day to try and build the consensus. It's not the left job, it's not Rahul Gandhi's job, it's not Sonia Gandhi's job. That's the government's job. But this meeting, if it does not lead to an all-party unanimous consensus in this country, what does that leave us with?
Rishabh, there are 4 or 5 tangible points in my mind which at the end of this meeting everybody should agree in letters, principle and spirit. Then this meeting is productive. First of all, China has occupied our land. We condemn Chinese aggression. Our 20 people were killed by deceit and this is treachery. China should immediately vacate our lands. And point number 5, what are we doing to impose economical sanctions on China? And last but not the least point, we have 101% faith in the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji and the military of India. No questions asked. Nobody should ask a question, why are people going there without a weapon? You are stupid if you don't know that. That all media interviews, that all YouTubing and that all tweeting, that bullshit has to stop.
No. I won't even go that far. If you don't want to say anything that is propagating that you are, going soft on a Narendra Modi, fine, don't do it. But there are certain questions that we can, Colonel Shailendra Singh, for the want of somebody else doing it within the political party ranks, let us do it. What should be the 10 questions that we address to Beijing, and who should be the authorities? Let's make a notation, I'll put it out. Who should be the authorities that all party resolution should be sent to? Let's make a note. What would be your first 2 or 3 questions to the Chinese establishment that we should be asking, sir?
I would recommend to the opposition that part of the resolution, if you have to draft out those 10 questions to the China, which whether they do it or not, they can take help of Rishabh, is not a problem. But it must start with one simple question. Why are you not resolving this border management committee? What do you want? What do you want in India? You tell us now. Because 50 years, whatever we propose, you are not telling us. That would be a secret. My third question is very clear. Are you apologizing for this incident? Though our apology won't make a much difference, but it will at least put us in that kind of faith, because now the biggest problem is going to be the faith between us and China. The way we have lost it with Pakistan, and that has led to so much of deployment, so much of economic drainage, etc., etc. Now that is going to happen here also. We will have more troops coming in. So what are you wanting? Let us have it very clearly. My very big question to China is that if this is the way to work, then we are also working, because if you are not going to go by any of the treaties and samjhotas, then is it only applicable one way? If the development is allowed on your side of LAC, then is it correct that yes, you can question me on my side of LAC? Tomorrow you will say that Arunachal nahi, मेरे को तो जहां तक इंडिया दिखता है, that is mine. मेरे को भी चाइना जहां तक दिखता है, that is mine. It must be equal. You may be a big boss in your own way. So am I today. I am also not hearing anything. My last question will end, and in between the other politicians can fill in as it suits them. My last question would be, is the people of China with you? The kind
Okay,
of
do the people of China
inside,
support aggression against India? Simple question. Okay,
Yes.
that should be okay. So who should we CC this to? Let's come back to practical reality. Sumit Peer, all party resolution, obviously one CC goes to the Chinese ambassador here in India. Let's draft these 10 questions. Colonel Shailendra Singh has given us 4-5, including, do the people of China support aggression against India? Let's ask them the question. We CC to the Politburo of the CCP in Beijing.
Correct.
We CC to the Chinese Central Military Commission. Let us CC the Integrated Theatre Command in Chengdu. And let us CC to the UNHRC, ICJ, EU and UNSC, as well as China's permanent representative at the UN. So we have a list of the people that this must go to. Let's make a list. What would be your questions, Sumit Peer?
I think my questions would be only 3 or 4. Rishabh. First thing is, we have to very clearly in terms ask them, do you want to live in peace and do business with us, or do you want to fight with us? Because 50 years of drama and coming into my house, going back and all this bullshit has to stop. Point number 1. Point number 2, we are not India of 1962. Even 1 inch of our land is not negotiable. Forget that. Take it out of your card and take it out of your Chinese ambitions. That is not going to happen. Point number 3, we will seriously relook at our One China policy. Because One China policy is not sacrosanct. We are agreeing to One China policy. We will relook at Tibet, we'll relook at Taiwan, we'll relook at Hong Kong, we'll relook at Turkmenistan, Southern Mongolia, we'll relook at Pamir Valley. We are open to having a Chinese, a Taiwanese High Commission in India. We'll be happy to recognize Hong Kong. There are a lot of things on our platter which we are going to do it. And last thing, business और लड़ाई एक साथ नहीं हो सकती. Either you do a $80 billion trade with us, or we are competent enough to take you on. Forget that. We are a nuclear triad. We are the second biggest army in the world. We are not a pushover. We are not a Congo. We are not a Syria or Sudan. Get it out of your head for good. And last but not the least, we have option of making Quad a military alliance. We have given options of joining a NATO. This is what we can do. We are asking you what you want.
Okay. Agreement on this. Okay. Gautam Mukherjee, it is perfectly right to somebody to ask a question of the government, pleading ignorance. If you're ignorant, fine. Okay. That why weren't they armed? It's perfectly okay to say that what could we have handled better? Obviously, something has gone wrong. Something could have been handled better. Maybe the Chinese could have also handled it better, but fine, you ask that question. It's perfectly okay to grieve and have condolences and demand for better treatment for martyrs and all that legit and good work. Now transcending this into a concrete resolution which raises questions or sends a message, 10 points or 10 questions to Beijing, what would you feel should be part of them? If certain political leaders are hesitating, perhaps they require us to help them out. Let's help them out.
I think, if you ask them questions which are basically ethical in nature, it is quite easy for them to dodge them, deflect them, say that no, we weren't at fault, you were at fault, just as they did after Galwan. They said, look, this valley is ours, you people are in the wrong place, you hit us, we are the victims. So this is the kind of deflection you can expect. But if you ask them, and I certainly would, if you ask them, what are you doing, making and have made most of the road through Gilgit-Baltistan, through POK, which is our land, and we told you half a dozen times that you shouldn't do this because this is our territory, you need our permission. You're doing something illegal twice over because the POK is anyway captured land by the Pakistanis, and you are ignoring that and building your road as if it belongs to Pakistan. It doesn't, as you will shortly find out. Similarly, why is this Karakoram highway and why is this Karakoram pass and all of this, which is basic, and Akshai Chin, which is all Indian territory? How come you built all these huge roads all over it? And with whose right and what legitimacy have you done this? Because why would I ask these kind of questions, Rishabh? Because there's a lot of facts and figures and dates and events that can be shown from our side in terms of justification of these questions. It's very difficult for them to say.
Okay, no, let's boil it down. So I want to boil it down. Gautam Mukherjee, boil it down to brass tacks. If you are in Beijing, you are counting on political dissent and dissonance and backstabbing going on in India to keep us Indians occupied, right? Now,
yes,
I'll give you, Gautam Mukherjee, a simple example. Now, I can spend my entire day discussing Rahul Gandhi tweeted this or Priyanka Gandhi tweeted this, or I can spend my day getting in 10 Tibetans to expose China, or 5 Uyghur activists, or 5 people from Hong Kong. Now, if you do narrative domination where you distract us from the real problem, we are the biggest losers. That's what they're counting on. Now, this message so surely is not insane and not difficult for reasonable people in this country to understand, Gautam Mukherjee.
Yeah, they understand it, but does it help their causes? That is the problem. There is no lack of intelligence amongst Indians of every shade and opinion. The problem is that there are a lot of fifth columnists in this country who are pro-Pakistan, who are pro-China, who feel that this nationalist government is against the constitution and secularism, that it's a Hindutva government, that it is, trying to change the nature of the beast, and so on. So they think the jihad is really against this government and these people behind this government. And this kind of person who thinks that Nehruvian India is a thing of the past. So you've got a real divide here. It's like the kind of divide you see in America. You talk about bipartisan support in America. I have my, reservations on that because it is a very polarized set of views in America as well. Republicans, and in that a far-right Republican like Trump has a very different point of view from a Biden or almost a communist like the man who lost to him.
Okay.
Okay, no, so there is a nominal,
I just have no patience left to have vacuous conversations. Let me now raise an issue. Now, there are something called parliamentary resolutions. Is it necessary for Parliament to be called to seat to come up with a resolution, or can we have an all-party resolution without Parliament? I see no reason why it can't happen immediately. So if anybody who says, oh, if you want a resolution, do it through Parliament, does that hold?
Are you asking me?
Colonel Chairendra Singh.
Okay, I'll tell you that. Firstly, let me tell you one thing. All politicians, all political parties can have whatever stand they want. My only objection is, please do not include my national interest in it. Don't compromise my national interest in it. Don't compromise, don't comment, don't involve my Indian army on it. That's a warning. Coming to the resolution. You tell me one thing. When you are having this meeting, is this itself not a resolution? You are having the government, you are having the opposition party. It's only a matter of that this time it is a virtual. You are not sitting in the parliament, that so-called round building. That is all. That is the only difference. Or what else you want? Or unless you are wanting to tell me that you do not have the faith in the people who are attending this on your behalf, and that is why you will not call it a resolution. And hell with a resolution. If you are determined, if you are very clear-headed that you are asking something in national interest, overcoming all your political differences, I think the public will honor it much more. The world will honor it much more, appreciate it much more.
You will earn respect and trust. You won't lose it. Okay. Other than few people, look, our entire day, time and effort cannot be spent just being critical for the sake of being critical. There has to be logic, and there are people in this country, all of us are reasonable people. So if you show the measure of your resolve, you will earn the respect for the measure of your resolve, and the people who are then attacking you for brickbatting, they will be the ones who will have to answer why they are being divisive. These are very reasonable things to ask.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.